Spider-Man has been around a heck of a long time, and all that really means is that he has a whole bunch of weird villains that you may not know about. I'm Adam Andrews, and this is the top 10 Spider-Man villains you've never heard of before. Number 10, Boomerang. Fred Myers was born in Australia, but moved to America when he was but a small child. In America, due to his great love of baseball, he developed an extraordinary pitching arm. He became a professional baseball player in the minor leagues after graduating high school, and a few years later entered the major leagues. Within a year, he was suspended though for accepting bribes. With an arm like that and no job, he was eventually contracted by the subversive criminal organization, the Secret Empire, and offered employment. For him, they designed special weaponry for him to exploit his pitching ability, and he became their special operative, codenamed Boomerang. Why Boomerang? No idea, because he's Australian probably. Now, Boomerang's first fight was actually with the Incredible Hulk, which makes no sense at all. Eventually, he would recalibrate his aspirations and take on more reasonable heroes like Spider-Man, which he did multiple times, but notably as part of the Sinister Syndicate, and he even had his own Sinister Six team. Number 9, White Rabbit. For someone so incredibly inept at committing crimes, White Rabbit sure does have a relatively long history in Marvel Comics. In the beginning, sheltered rich girl Lorena Dodson committed her first crime by ending the life of her 87-year-old arranged husband as she found the trophy wife life boring. She then used her inheritance to buy a bunch of high-tech equipment and, being inspired by Alice in Wonderland, she went off as the villainous White Rabbit. For her first crime, she shall rob a fast food joint. This dastardly crime brought her into confrontation with the most fearsome of heroes, Frogman, and she almost brought him down too if it wasn't for the intervention of Spider-Man, who finished her off with an astounding amount of ease. Spider-Man has actually defeated her on multiple different occasions with the same amount of ease, and she's even been defeated by Mary Jane Watson. Don't even get me started on the amount of animal-themed villains she has allied with. In fact, she's allied with a lot of other low-level villains as well, but never to any amount of great success. She does have a giant, heavily armed robotic rabbit though, and that part is kind of cool. Number 8, the Menagerie. The Menagerie is a slightly more recent evil team, showing up for the first time in Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, Number 1 in April of 2014. This was when they tried stealing a valuable decorated egg from an antique store and were pretty easily defeated. So like from the get-go, the impressive feats are on the lower side with this team. In fact, I'd say the most famous thing they've ever done is when they disintegrated Spider-Man's spider suit, making him have to create web underwear for himself. And it's the underwear that is remembered here, not the team. The animal-themed criminal team was created by White Rabbit, who we just talked about, and its members included Hippo, Ox, Gwen, who did the Spider-Man suit disintegrating, a squid, Swarm, and, wait for it, Pandamania. Very cool. The Menagerie also is known for trying to rob a club where Nadia Van Dyne was celebrating her birthday with numerous other heroes, which, as you can imagine, did not work out well for them. Number 7, Critical Mass. I just want to say that I think Marvel has something against severely overweight people. The amount of supervillains who are just massive is actually ridiculous. We got the Slug, the Blob, the Shadow King, Pink Pearl, the Kingpin too, although that's actually all muscle, and then there's Critical Mass, aka Arnie Gunderson. Arnie was one of Peter Parker's classmates back in the 4th grade, and eventually he gained the mutant ability to project explosive forces from his fingertips, which is actually a really cool power. But that didn't save Arnie from being just a massive man for seemingly no reason. Together with some other evil mutants, he formed the Band of Baddies, and with a name like that, you know we got some real winners here. The band abducted another explosive mutant named Mary Beck, which brought them into conflict with Wolverine and Spider-Man. Unfortunately for the baddies, one of their number threatened Mary, who then accidentally unleashed her powers, taking out every single one of the villains on this team. And we never saw Critical Mass ever again. The end. Lasted 3 issues of Marvel Comics Presents. That's it. He's gone. Number 6, Big Wheel. Hey! Do you want to be a villain? Great! Just hire another guy to make you a big wheel with rocket launchers and all that stuff on it that you can just ride around in. It's that easy! That's what Jackson Wheel did. Can you guess what he called himself? When he first appeared, Big Wheel used his big wheel to chase and try to take out Rocket Racer while he was mid-fight with Spider-Man. Big Wheel wasn't even facing Spider-Man one-on-one, he just showed up. Just before he was about to get crushed though, Spider-Man pulled Racer out of the way and Big Wheel drove right off the side of a building and right into the Hudson River, ending both Jackson Wheel and his big wheel. All of this because Rocket Racer had some blackmail. That's all it was. Number 5, Hypno Hustler. Just look at this dazzling man. What an icon. The Hypno Hustler made his debut in the 80s, which I hope is not a surprise to anyone. Just look at him. He uses a hypnotic guitar to hypnotize people, wears headphones that stop him from hypnotizing himself, which is hilarious, and has boots that emit knockout gas and have retractable knives in them for some reason. It's a crazy combo. His story involves him performing at the nightclub Beyond Forever, where Peter Parker and his pals just happen to be hanging out. Him and his band use their hypnotic grooves to hypnotize a crowd into giving up their goods. Peter Parker, though, being the hero, obviously knows what's going on and changes into his Spidey suit. During the fight, he realizes that the headphones are the only thing keeping Hypno Hustler from hypnotizing himself, and Spider-Man, he just removes them. That's it. And the fight's over. Number 4, the Headmen. Sometimes it just takes the smallest of things to bring people together, and while that may sound like an extremely beautiful sentiment, I'm saying it in relation to the villainous team known as the Headmen, who seem to have come together just because each of their powers revolve around their heads in one way or another. And it's honestly kind of unsettling in my opinion. Bonded together through their weird heads, these scientists sought out world domination, bringing them into conflict with the Defenders, She-Hulk, and of course, Spider-Man. The quartet consisted of Arthur Nagin, their leader, who had his head transplanted onto the body of a gorilla for some reason, Ruby Thursday, who replaced her own head with an organic computer capable of changing shape, which is actually really cool, Gerald Morgan, aka Shrunken Bones, accidentally shrank his own skeleton, including his skull, so he basically just has really baggy skin, which is very creepy, and Chandu the Mystic's head had been transplanted by Nagin onto a number of different bodies through his time, making him actually quite versatile. Number 3, Slyde. A chemical engineer turned super thief decked out in a super slippery suit, Jalome Bleacher created a chemical coating that basically eliminated the friction between an object and any surface it came into contact with, which, not even joking here, that could be really useful. Like, good job, man, that would work really well in the real world. Too bad the company that he worked for closed their R&D department and Jalome had to find a way to independently fund his project. Honestly, I would just find another company who wanted to fund me, but then I wouldn't appear on a list of people you've never heard of. And that is a goal of mine. He created a suit with the chemical and used his slippery abilities to rob banks and try to destroy his old boss's business. His only other notable mentions were his midlife crisis and his eventual passing into the afterlife in a side story of the Civil War event where he was attacked from behind for refusing to side with crime boss Hammerhead. I guess you could say that they had some friction. Sorry. Number 2, Spidercide. Sony's animated Spider-Verse films have not only achieved tremendous success, but have also popularized the concept of multiverse storytelling, encouraging audiences to embrace innovative takes on Spider-Man's character. Within this realm of creative exploration, Spidercide emerges as a rather obscure figure originating from the controversial Clone Saga. In that tangled web of narratives, Spidercide assumes the role of a perplexing third party alongside Peter Parker and Ben Reilly, casting doubt on the true identity of the authentic Spider-Man. Now, as the story unfolds, Spidercide's transformation takes a dark and pretty unsettling turn when he evolves into a molecular monstrosity that bears a closer resemblance to the grotesque shapeshifting abilities of Carnage rather than the iconic traits of Spider-Man himself. His character complicated the already pretty complex story, but he was also actually pretty cool, and I always wondered if we would see him again, and we have with the opening up of the Spider-Verse. Yay! Number 1, Stegron. In the world of Spider-Man, the lizard was born from Dr. Kurt Connor's experiments with reptile DNA. However, if you ever wondered what would transpire should Connors delve into the realm of dinosaur DNA, Vincent Stegron, known as Stegron the Dinosaur Man, provides the very answer you would expect. After a fateful journey to the Savage Land, Connors embarks on a scientific endeavor that basically creates the exact same lizard villain, but as a humanoid Stegosaurus. Notably, Stegron possesses raw power that technically actually surpasses other animal-based villains like the Lizard and the Rhino. He has crossed paths with formidable adversaries such as Venom on multiple occasions, and even forged a not at all surprising partnership with the Lizard in the Marvel Team-Up series. Yet, it's his untamed and wild nature that has occasionally posed challenges for the character. But also, he's a Stegosaurus. I see why I didn't catch on. And that's all the villains for today. Thank you for watching on Top 10 Nerd, and I'll catch you nerds on the flippy flop. Peace out.